First off, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. The Earth is flat, mainly because the Earth's surface is 71% water. Bodies of water do not curve. This is me panning from right to left on the x-axis on the Atlantic Ocean. I was just out there about a month ago visiting my daughter, and all we saw was flat water as far as the eye can see.
The world is flat, the government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. Lying, God. They've been lying, God. Where to begin with so much information? First off, I'm egotistic, true to myself, and God bless me to see this crooked, corrupt world just for what it really is. Time wasted in fake space is clearly over with. Don't you think it's about time to let us sit on it? Deception and lies, the secret's all about us, ain't it? Drowning in your own lies, damn, they can't contain it. Government in Latin, that means mind control. Read okay, ultra, they trying to take your soul. In our whole damn life, we've been told. We've been living here spinning on the gold. Now what the hell you think they told us that for? So when the real reveals, they'll think we lost and won't know. Hey look, it's getting old. I'm Baghdad, here to let you know. The world is flat, the government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. World is flat, the government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. Genesis 1, 6, and 7.
It's the Jedi Knight on the mic with the master plan. Rocking braids and shades and jumping out of van. He went from walking on a plane with his spirit level to inner God awakened spirits to oppose the devil. Jealousy has got you mad because you're not where I'm at. They're trying to say that I'm amazing because I'm keeping it flat. You see my name and say it's training and you ask to see proof, but you know more about me than I know about you. I'm on a mission to go out and wake the masses. Like this is they live and I'm handing out the classes like cookies on. You can see our face. We're sitting here to tear down the matrix. I say the earth is flat, you with laughter, but you still walking around here believing NASA. I'm stepping out on faith, believing God promises and teaching the masses to rely on that common sense. The earth is not spinning, you don't sense motion. You see a flat horizon when you look across the ocean. The earth is flat, come on, you never heard of it. The rainbow shape is like reflecting off the firmament. This awakening is coming as a big surprise. They try to dumb us down and keep us all believing lies. The Most High is with me each and everywhere I go, and now I'm on a mission to let the whole world know.
The world is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. World is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. Get it debunked, the heliocentric model. Put a nation behind me, led by these marbles. One by one, we're waking up, so it double. Showing my people the truth of love is so trouble. Come on, take a stroll with me, get some food for your brain. Define Earth stationary, flatten in your plane. We so far gone, lost in the Mason's game. We gotta break our peoples down and build a new frame. So break them slave chains, go on ahead, expand your brain. Don't be scared to try new things, fly and see the world, man. Be like me indeed, dig through history, discover more secrecy and share with our community. And with that being said, hoops upside the head, wait until the spread thick like some salad dress. I just want my bless coming from the chest. God bless this crazy world, a damn flat mess. The world is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back, the world is flat. Reveal the truth, they know we gon' trip. World is flat. The government trying to hide that the world is flat. They don't want to let us know that the world is flat. They've been lying, God coming back. The world is flat. We gon' trip.
Well, that's more of what we got here. That truth hidden in plain sight. One final note. Getting a lot of people coming to me talking about how stars, you know, the Southern Cross or whatever, move the globe some way or another. when in actuality, I have to ask the question, just in analogy format here, do you ever walk into a room and try to determine the texture of the carpet in the room based on the light fixtures? That's just something to think about, you know? You don't walk into a room and say, oh, look, there's a disco ball hanging from the ceiling, so the floor must be curved and sparkly. Nobody does that. Okay? We say the earth is flat. We're talking about there's no curvature because bodies of water don't curve. You know that. You're going to get sick of me saying that, but it's going to be the truth whether or not you like it. That's all I got for this video. Just want to share that with you. As always, be good to each other. Take care of yourself. Stay flat. See you next time.
Okay, so hello everybody. It's me, Roxanne, and I'm here with D Marble. He's here with me tonight on Connecting the Dots. I want to thank you all for tuning in. It is in the UK, it is Saturday, the 15th of September. It is about 20 to 11 GMT. What time is it where you are, D Marble?
I've got 2:44 p.m. Pacific time over here.
Cool. So we've got quite a bit of a time difference there. Everyone in the chat room, I want to thank you very much for your patience this evening. Yeah, you've waited a little while for me to go live, and I'm appreciating your patience on that one. Had a few technical difficulties, a couple more lights blew on me, and I had to move the banner around a bit, you know. But anyway, this is what it is. I'm not a professional, so I'm working with what I got here. This is Connecting the Dots. You're with me, Roxanne, the Globalist Anaya. I've got D Marble with me live. He is the CEO of FE Offensive. He's wearing it right now. If you can give everyone a little look on the camera, we've got a hashtag FE Offensive. This has gone viral. It's everywhere on Instagram. Go look on Twitter. Go search it on Twitter. Go search it on Facebook. Go search it on Instagram. Search it on YouTube. There's content everywhere. You may know him as a spirit level guy. Yeah, he did his experiments on. You've done quite a few experiments. We'll get to that in a bit. You've been awake for a while.
I'm saying, watch this. Look, some guys taking a picture of my van right now.
See? Red pilling on the roads. Red pilling.
This happens all day, every day. See?
Red pilling on the roads. How you like that? Lord. Yeah. You've been awake for a while.
Yeah, it's been about 3 years. Yeah. This happens everywhere.
To now drop in red pills while you're on live hangouts from the van life. That brings me to my next question for the chat room and for everyone playing Rebag and for me as well. I want to hear it again. Who and what woke you up?
All righty. So the situation became pretty severe about 3 years ago. Well, no, not 3 years ago. So I was in the Army for 8 years. Got out of the Army. There was a period after I deployed from Iraq. I was in Iraq from November 04 to November 05. I spent a month in Kuwait in the combat zone when I was in the Army. I got out in 2008, and there was about a 10-month period where I was unemployed, where I had time to look into other things, you know, because I wasn't busy with the job all the time. I was taking care of my daughter a lot of that time, but you know, for the time that I wasn't, I had time to research other things that were going on in the world. And like many other people, 9/11 was the first thing that woke me up. Saw Fahrenheit 9/11 by Michael Moore, and you know, that was pretty much what opened the door to look at anything else. So I figured out 9/11. I'm like, well, what do you mean the government was involved in this and that? And wait, these guys belong to this secret society? I'm like, what's a Freemason? Oh, I see these guys always around town with this little symbol on the back of their car. I was wondering what that was about. And you know, I mean, I just went down deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole. There was, you know, looked at the Masons, the Illuminati, the Jesuits, the Zionists. I mean, all that stuff, you know, all the things, you know, Sandy Hook, just got into the false flags, the fake wars, the bankers, the Federal Reserve, the fake currency system. So by that time, my girlfriend and I, we had come to a point to where we spent like a couple of years just searching everything, just looking into everything that's wrong with society, and we just kind of got burned out. So we didn't have TV, so we were pretty much living on YouTube. So we got off of YouTube for a little while, turned on Netflix, and we watched this show called Under the Dome. So have you seen that one, Roxanne?
No, I don't. Who's that by?
It was based on a Stephen King novel. So there was this small town that was covered in this invisible dome, and townspeople started, they were going through different dramas like shortage on food, shortage on water. There's people who are greedy and things like that, and start to kind of lose their minds. So we got to the third season of that, watched all 3 seasons of it, and we went back to YouTube and typed in Under the Dome, basically looking for any extras that, pertain to it. And the first video that popped up was a compilation of Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. And I ended up clicking on that one. And I mean, within seconds, we were hooked because, in the beginning, he starts off, well, this is the Reader's Digest version of the Flat Earth theory and some of the more interesting points. I'm like, pause. What did he say? Did he what's flat Earth? What are you talking about? So we just continue listening to that, and one thing led to another, and it was Mark Sargent. I listened to more of his stuff. I found some things by ODD, the interview by Allegedly Dave, some Eric Dubé, some of the Gold Busters, Jaron. I mean, all kinds of stuff was going on, and just ran the gamut. I was ingesting flat Earth info every day for a while. It became somewhat of an addiction for a little bit. And then oddly, I just kind of backed off. I was like, all right, the world's flat. I'm posting on Facebook all the time, but the passion had kind of died down for a while. And the thing that got me back into it, and this is the important part, is actually linking up with like-minded individuals, because we all get into this and we become isolated. So, we talk to friends, we talk to family, we talk to coworkers, and a lot of times they don't want to talk about it, right? Some people do, some people don't, but we'll keep talking about it because we're trying to find somebody to convert so we can talk about it with them without being ridiculed, So I did that and just let it go. But on Facebook, I ended up joining my first Flat Earth group. It was called Flat Earth No Trolls. I was like, oh, I'm part of a Flat Earth group. These are a bunch of Flat Earthers. Cool. I was excited to be there. And, I was excited again. And at one point, I was still, so I got back on YouTube watching this stuff, and I got really back into Flat Earth because I had people to talk to now.
Right.
So I was watching these videos, and my job had changed at the time. So I was introduced to different people. And there were some guys at my job that I would talk to like every day for about 10 minutes or so. It's like they took their break at 9 to 9:15, and I would go to them at 9 o'clock, and I would be, talking to them every day about my Flat Earth stuff, that I watched the day before. And, that's from there. I saw this meme on Facebook, and it said some things that wouldn't work on Earth, on a globe. And one of them was a spirit level, I believe. And, other was like a sundial and a gyroscope, periscope from a submarine and all that. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can't get a periscope. I don't have a submarine. I don't have a gyroscope, but I could run a test with a level. So I went to a hardware store, picked one up, and I'm like, hey, man, a level wouldn't work here, right? Because it's like the bubble wouldn't be centered here and then be centered somewhere else because we're on a globe and there's supposed to be curvature. It's like I couldn't really articulate it at the time, So I bought the level and talked to him about it, and I had an idea. I was like, well, how could I actually show that the Earth doesn't have some sort of curvature to it? I'm like, I could drive, but that wouldn't really work because I'd have to have a guy and somebody to hold the camera. No, I couldn't do that. But I had a flight coming up, so I said, I'm just going to take my level onto this plane, sit it on a tray table, and if the bubble moves from the center towards the back, then that means that the plane's dipping the nose down to compensate for the curvature. If it dips the nose up, then obviously the bubble's going to go to the front. But the bubble was level the whole time that I did the experiment, and it pretty much showed it's flat, that the airplane was flying through the air over a plane. So
Correct.
that was my way of exposing that. So that's my flat earth story in a nutshell.
Yeah, you did a perfect job of that. I've lost count the amount of times the people I've showed that content to and showed them, look, see for yourself, go take one on a plane for yourself and see if it doesn't do the same thing. Repeatable observations, and I think a lot of people have done it. You caused quite a wave doing that. Even at Speaker's Corner, I've had quite a few conversations with people that are speaking to me about you doing that. And I'm going, okay, I've seen it. So, even people in London are talking about it. So you caused a wave.
That was not the intention.
But you know what? The good thing is that people are repeating it and measuring the same data that you've taken, and that it doesn't dip. There is no curve. So it's a good look. And for the chat room, we came in on D Mubble's track. If you want any more information or want to purchase that track, the link is in the description for that as well. The link is in the description for D Mubble's Facebook. The link is also in the description for his YouTube. So you can get all of your information within a couple of clicks in the description box. I want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room. Massive love and respect to you all for tuning in while we connect the dots this evening. I'm going to move on to my next question. It's a bit of an interesting one for some. Are they hiding extra land?
I would assume they are. Now, a lot of the times we'll talk about extra land, and we're thinking about out at the North Pole. Not the North Pole. We're thinking about Antarctica. We're thinking about the South Pole, and that's where most of the attention is. Now, it's not too often where we talk about the North Pole, because we if we look at some of the old world flat Earth maps, there's a one by I forget the guy's first name. Last name's Monty. There's a map that he has that let me see, has four land masses situated around the North Pole center, and then in the center there's, I'm kind of upset that I didn't have the screen up. So I'm like, let me share my screen. I can show you this thing real quick. Shoot. I'm saying, if I had known that one was coming. So the way that the map is set up, it'll show. Just a sec.
No worries. If you can give a little visual representation of what you're talking about, that'd be really cool.
I love it. That's kind of my thing. I like to show everybody what's going on when I'm talking. So
when you're really trying to convey something that's different or new to people, because it is hard to try and vocalize and convey something vocally that's something new, if you know what I mean, something that's people haven't seen before, maybe not heard of before.
Yeah. Okay. So here, let me see if I can.
Yeah. No worries.
Can I share the screen?
I think you can see. Yeah.
All right. Let me try that. Something's not right over here. Let me see if I can lock this in. All right. All right. I got nothing. I'm not sure. The screen sharing is not working for me at this point. I'm not sure if it's the laptop or the connection, but the way that the map is set up, it shows land masses around the North Pole, and I've seen videos on YouTube with the same thing happening, but they also show that there are parts on Google Earth. When you zoom in from, I believe it was a point in northern Russia, if you zoom in really closely onto the water, you can see strips on Google Earth where it looks like they just kind of pasted blue streaks over land masses. It looks like there's actually land under there. So there may very well be extra land, not so much at the south, but closer to the North Pole. And that's my idea about that.
Wow. I find it really interesting when people answer that question, because people seem to go down the road of, yeah, there's a possibility that there could be. Brings me on to my next question. Why do you think they're lying to us, as in the masses, about where we live?
Well, there's the basics. There's control. There's the idea of wanting to have us perceive the world in a way that they would like for us to see it. If we all come from a big bang that occurred from an explosion out of nothing, and we're on a random speck of dust flying through infinite space, hurling around some fireball, the idea and what happens as a result of seeing that and trying to imagine that size universe that you're living in, this infinite place, the result immediately, and I can tell you from my own experience, is that you feel small, you feel insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And I remember a video that I used to watch. It was called The Known Universe, and I used to watch that every now and then, maybe every few weeks or so. And there was the camera would be in the Himalayan mountains, and it would zoom out, and you could see the city, you could see, the country, you could see the globe, and you could back out and you could see the solar system, you could see the whole galaxy and all that, and it would just back out, and you could see other galaxies to where our galaxy looks like a speck, and it would just continue to back out and back out and back out billions of miles, but it was all CGI. And then ultimately it will get out to the vastness of space, to the furthest known point that man has been able to explore in its imagination with their CGI technology, is what I call it now. But when it got out that far, and I'm looking at my screen, just seeing, and you know what the insidious part, Roxanne, was? You know what the insidious part was about that whole situation? Even when it got out to the farthest expanse of space where they claimed that everything had expanded to, it still showed a ball. It still showed a ball. Not kidding. It was a green ball, but a ball nonetheless. So it just kind of puts it in your mind more that there was a bang, it exploded from the center, and everything's exploding outward into a perfect freaking ball. And I remember when the camera supposedly got the CGI out that far enough to see all of that infinite space as that ball, I remember feeling so insignificant, so small, so little, so just unworthy.
Things so tiny. Yeah, I agree.
Right. And that's one of those things. So if you can get a people to see themselves that way, they're easier to control. That's one of those things. So that's control. The long way around to answering the idea of control. Obviously there's money. The space agencies of the world, they reap massive profits from the people for keeping up this whole space fallacy. But that's obviously one. I mean, NASA alone, $52 million a day. There's JAXA, Roscosmos, RASA.
I'm pleased you just said that, because do you know how much my government gives the British Space Agency every day?
Oh, really? How much is that?
£1.16 million a day.
1.16. Good Lord.
£1.16 million a day out of the British taxpayers' pocket. A day, just every day. Why not?
That's sick. Yeah.
European Space Agency is over €3 million a day. European Space Agency, 3 mil a day, just a day. People can't afford to feed themselves and clothe themselves, but then man can have all of that money a day. And what do we get for it? What do we actually get for it? Just name 3 things that we get for that money. What do you get for your money? What do you get for that 52 mil a day? What do you get for it?
I'm pretty sure I don't get anything for that. I get bad actors. I get CGI pictures. I get an army of thoughtless drones screaming at me for that $52 million a day. I'm pretty sure some of that budget goes towards the trolls that are coming after me constantly. So there is that. You know, I mean, nothing. Basically, I mean, all that sarcasm. There's no benefit to what NASA provides if they provide anything. It's just a perpetuation of this imaginary space fantasy that we're all indoctrinated to believe.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give a question out to you, the chat room, and you, the Marble. I'm gonna ask everybody at the same time. How do we expose the space agencies? How do we expose them? In your opinions, what's the best way to expose these space agencies for the criminal liars that they are?
Well, I honestly believe that we're doing a pretty good job now of exposing them because with every post, with every, um, every tweet, every rocket launch, they're exposing themselves. You know, when they do the rocket launches, we see the rocket go up for a while and then it curves back off to the side and then it curves back downward. There's now lots of eyes on those rocket launches saying that's fake. There's people in the live chat of those rocket launches calling them out real time every day. And there's like a ton of flat earthers who are looking at these things and they'll do screen grabs and we're reporting on it. Like every time something comes out from NASA that doesn't look right, there's a ton of people calling them out on it. So we're already doing a pretty good job. So I mean, the idea is just to continue this snowball effect and just keep the ball rolling because it's happening. It's happening. There's like an army of us now. It's like they don't even see us coming and we're just growing every day. So this is cool. This is good times. I'm amped. This is great.
You know what? Just with what you were saying, what do you think could be done in addition to what's already going? What do you think the best way to move forward with making people aware of the biggest lie ever told? What do you think, in your opinion, is the best way?
Well, there's gonna have to be I think the best way to make this more mainstream is to basically live our lives as if it's a given, for the most part. I mean, there does need to be more activism. There does need to be more people doing music, like movies even.
Comedy.
Yeah, comedy.
Way that this truth can be packaged and delivered to the masses, it's got to get out there. Poetry, artistry, book writing, comic books, kids books, whatever, even stand-up comedians or people that do radio shows or people that do blogs in magazines, do a flat earth blog or whatever it is. Just get it out to the masses in whatever way you want to package it, put a bow on it, service with a smile, whatever you want to call it. I think if everybody could just adopt the truth and try to slip it out there, no matter, it doesn't have to be direct either. Whatever way you want to come with it, because even when I'm not doing group activism, I'm slyly putting it in there with every human interaction that I have. Whether I approach in a gossip sense, have you heard? Did you hear? Because such and such was telling me that, and you just blag it. You can throw someone else under the bus. That was one of the first things I said in one of my first hangouts. If you don't want to put yourself in the firing line, you can just use an imaginary person that said to you on the bus that you're not on a spinning ball, and just throw that imaginary person under the bus with it, and then you don't get shot down in a blaze of glory verbally. Because I know, from my experience, sometimes people are really apprehensive in talking about it in public because of how they will be perceived afterwards. And it's okay. You don't have to, like I said, if you've gone into a coffee shop and you just want to say it to the person that's serving you the coffee, then just say, did you hear what those people over there were talking about? They were saying that they're not on a spinning ball. Have you heard that? And just give your own little speech, but just make it up. Not make it up what you're saying, but make up the scenario in which it was delivered to you. And then you don't, you can kind of say it in a way where you might not have adopted it yourself yet. Right. But whatever way you can slip, you don't have to, browbeat someone and say, do you know? It's not like you have to do it like that. I know some people think that people are out there shouting at people and whatnot. I will put my hands up and say Speaker's Corner is probably not your average place on doing it. People do shout there on a regular basis. But I think that's a pretty much niched situation on its own. That is not your average situation you're going to come across in your daily life out on the roads.
Thanks.
Yeah. With your van life, how has that been for you since you've been rolling in the van life? How you been finding it?
Can't complain. Can't complain about anything with this.
Yeah.
Except, every now and then I'll make a decision to park somewhere I probably otherwise should not park. And these guys in these outfits with these guns and shiny badges will knock on the window. That's happened like maybe 4 times or so, but nothing serious thus far. Um, it's been fine. It's an adventure most of the time because it's like the first year or so, I didn't really know where I was going to be. Like each night, it's like I'll say, okay, I'm going to be at this apartment complex for a couple of nights, and then I'll go to this place, and I'll just hang out in this parking lot for a couple of nights, and I'll go here, I'll go there, and I'll just kind of switch it up. And I had like 6 or 7 different places that I would try to, switch between.
Wow.
Haven't paid a dime to park anywhere this whole time, so that's been fun.
Wow.
So I've saved a lot in not paying rent, not paying for utilities, not paying for garbage, not paying property taxes or renter's insurance, things like that. So that's given me the opportunity to do a lot of the field testing, the traveling, things like that that I've wanted to do.
I think I'm glad you touched on the field testing. The field testing. So you went out to Alaska.
I did.
And some filming in Alaska, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to let me share some content that you made in Alaska.
Yes, please.
It's about a 5-minute video, and then after we've watched it, I'm wondering if you can kind of talk a bit more in depth, because it's a valid observation that you've made. You took a lot of time out and traveled many miles to make that happen. So if you could kind of dissect it, if you will, after we've watched it. So if everybody does with me a minute. As I said, I'm not the most professional at doing this, but I'm going to try and make it happen. 1 sec.
I don't know. This is going to be silky smooth.
With a bit of luck. Okay. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if you would be so kind as to talk us through that, if possible. That was a lot of footage that you took. A lot.
All right. Well, let me see if I can remember this. Oh, you remember last year around this time there was there was this guy who shall remain nameless, who was kind of running around screaming at everybody about how the AE map was broken.
Mhm.
His main thing was that Australia or south of the equator in different places who have said, well, the sun rises at this time in this direction and then it sets in this direction, so that doesn't work according to the AE map because that would mean it would have to be like that. I'm like, well, wait a minute. But I remembered that there was a video that I had seen a long time ago that looked like it was a legit time lapse of someone near the North Pole following the sun through the sky as it made its circuit. At least that's what it looked like. It looked like it was real. So I didn't argue with the guy because I didn't know, but I wanted to go check it out for myself. So, I being the van life guy, having not paid rent in so long, I had a little change laying around. So I was like, you know what? I'll just take a few days off work and go up to Alaska and get a time lapse. And I haven't shared this part, but I had been prepping for that trip for a few months actually. With my P900, so I had to figure out how to do time lapses. So I spent at least I'll say a total of maybe 2 weeks just sitting around in different places doing time lapses. I'll do a time lapse of I did a lot of time lapses of and I gotten pretty decent with that, except for the solar filter, because people always say I don't use a solar filter. But I would do time lapses of the sunset. I just needed to know how to do the thing, and you know, how I would go about making it happen.
Right.
So I got easier. It's like on my P900, the function that I use is I'll put it on time lapse, sunset, and then I would record in 50-minute intervals. So I'd have to do like, you know, I'd set my alarm to go off every 48 minutes. So I'll set the alarm off 48 minutes, and I'll go hit the button so it'll record another 50 minutes. It'll take a picture every 10 seconds and then kind of splice them all together. And that'll give you 10 seconds. You would wait 50 minutes for 10 seconds of footage, 10 seconds of time lapse. So
was that surprising to you? Was that a bit of a shocker? Were you quite surprised at like how much time?
No. I mean,
you were prepared for that.
Well, no. It made sense. I mean, I was just like, man, that's pretty cool. But I mean, it's not too hard to do time lapses in the van. That's no problem, because I can, you know, put the camera outside. I can hit the button, jump back in, take a nap, you know, wake up, jump out, hit the button, come back in, get something to eat, and you know, it's no problem. But you know, all that prepared me for the trip to Alaska, where I did the 24-hour time lapses. So, you know, I got a new P900, some extra batteries, so I could continue doing the time lapse, and I could charge the other batteries in the car. And I knew a guy from that's in Alaska, and the story with this guy, he must have found me in like mid-December, something like that, and he just had to get in contact with me. And he left a lot of comments on a few of my videos. This was during the end of December. I was in a hotel room with 103-degree fever, and I'm getting all these comments from this one guy called Ask Questions. So I finally got pissed off, and I just called the guy up like, dude, what do you want? He had left his phone number, left his email. I'm like, what do you want? What is it? He was like, hey, man, how's it going? I'm like, no, how's it going? God dang it, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, I'm sick right now, and you're blowing my stuff up. What is it? You know, so we ended up talking for a while, and we were on and off. He told me he was in Alaska and all that, and he you know, supported what I was doing, and just wanted to get you know, have a little dialogue. And I remembered him, you know, because we had still talked on and off, and that was how I met my dude Chris Taylor. You know, he was my contact in Alaska. So, you know, I called him up. I'm like, hey man, you're still in Alaska, right? So you think you can like you know, kind of show me around or show me some places where I could do these time lapses, because I'm coming out there in June, and you know, I want to get the time lapses and all that. And he went above and beyond. He was actually out there maybe like a week or so before I came out. He had did a lot of driving, going to different places in Alaska where we could get a pretty good vantage point so we could track the sun. And it was really cool. So I really appreciate him. Shout out to my man Chris Taylor for you know, going the extra miles and miles, because he was putting a lot of miles on his car to go do the con on the areas that lapses. So I mean, he went to one place that was like 3 hours away from his home. He went to another place that was like 45 minutes away, and he was sending me videos like, hey, what do you think about this place? I was like, it's beautiful, that'll work, you know. But he was out there on the road, and when I got there, he was with me. You know, he let me you know, he picked me up at the airport, and you know, I kept his tank full while I was there, because I really appreciate him. I'm like, hey, you know, I'll fill up your tank. You know, you need anything, any food, I got it. Don't worry about it. You know, and I just appreciate that guy. And yeah, we spent basically 2 days in his car getting those time lapses. Yeah. It was a fun situation. And what I wanted to do ultimately was show everybody from my experience, you know, exactly what was happening. So the plan was to go there, do live stream updates to keep everybody in the loop, and informed about how the progress was going. So, you know, I think it's important to keep everybody in the loop about what's going on. You know, sometimes because I got another project I'm working on that I'm not going to tell everybody all the details about. But you know, there's
yeah. That's to ask you next. Can you give us a clue as to what you're up to next? What's going to be the next thing that you're getting involved in? What you up to? What you up to, D-Marble? What you up to?
Oh, me? Just you know, I mean, a new laser. Maybe you heard. 5,000 milliwatt right here. Yeah, that's what we got. So yeah,
so you're
this
looking
thing.
For experiments, right?
I believe I might be out here playing with this thing a little bit more. We'll see. Would you like to see a demonstration?
Oh yes, please, mate. Proper one, please.
Oh, for sure. All right, so here, hold on. I got what? Look, you gotta have a key to turn this thing on. All right,
really?
so yeah, it's that powerful, and you definitely don't.
Wait, do we need them? Do we need them?
Yeah.
Like,
hello. I don't.
Hello.
You might hold on. I might need to open this little dome fan up. Yeah. So look, this thing has a 18.64 mile range on it. Wow. You know, you got to have a key to turn this thing on, and then once you turn it on, there's a little button here. So once you do that, this thing, like within seconds, well, I mean, it's pretty serious, you know, this thing right here. So
wow.
So being that this thing can fire 18 miles away, I can fire a beam into Mark's direction at the same time he fires one into my direction. All right, that's all I can tell you.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, everyone. You heard it here first. Like, D-Marble's doing bits. He's out there. He's doing experiments. Like, can I ask you, out of all the experiments that you've done thus far, what one would you say has been the most instrumental in you putting coffins in the globe? Putting nails in the globe coffin. Sorry.
Putting nails in the globe coffin. I would have to say the spirit level experiment, and people say that's the most flawed one, but in my estimation, I mean that video's got over 1.17 million views on it, so that's definitely woken up a lot more people to flat earth than any other video. And just the shockwaves that video was able to send, that was pretty awesome. As far as that's as far as awakening, as far as destroying the whole globe model. I think I'd have to say the laser test, because it was a live laser test. It was done over a stretch of water. 10 miles. There was supposed to be like 70 feet of curvature between Mark and myself. The laser was about 8.75 feet off the ground, something like that. So, there was supposed to be about 61 feet of curvature between us that the laser beam was supposed to be hidden behind, but nope, we could still see it from 10 miles away. So I guess it looks like the water out on the Puget Sound is level just like this water's level. And if the water on Puget Sound for that 10-mile stretch is level, that's connected to the Pacific Ocean. Now, if the Pacific Ocean's level, and I guess that means that these hold on, what's these other places? Hold on, let me see. We got the North Atlantic. That means the South Pacific, North Pacific. Yeah. Micronesia. Yeah. Indian Ocean, Australia Pacific. Yeah. That means pretty much all these oceans are level then, doesn't it?
Well, that's another question. With what you're saying there, I wonder how many horizontal lines it takes to make a ball, like Richard Lopez says. How many horizontal lines to make a
My answer is all of them. All of them.
You make me laugh.
Good.
Good to know, it's good to know people still know how to have a laugh. You know, you can know the truth instead of a sense of humor. It
Yes.
just goes
Yes.
all of them, you know. That's the first time that answer, Richard. I don't know if you're tuned in. Richard's out there being a hero, and if you've tuned in, right? So we've had a comical answer for that one, and that brings me on to my next question as well. Me and Richard like to ask everybody on connecting the dots. I want you to tell us something that we don't know.
Something that we don't know. Oh, wow. Well. Now let me see. Something that you don't know. You know, I ran track the last 2 years of high school. I used to do physique competitions. There was that. I'm pretty much an open book, Roxy.
Yeah. Okay. So if I was to put it onto the global eye, and the fact that we're on a flat Earth, can you try and tell us something that you think we might not know about the fact that we've been lied to? Give people a step for a hint of maybe something they might possibly take the time to look into. If they've got time, look into this because it's quite important. Tell us something we don't know.
Well, I don't know. My mind's inching me towards the religious scene, and not that I'm like a super religious person, but the idea that so many flat earthers come into flat earth and then they'll go back and pick up their Bible. The one thing that a lot of us don't realize is that a lot of the pastors still running these churches with their Bibles and all that, they're still they're not willing to tell their people about the global eye, although the Bible is a flat earth book. So that's pretty important, I believe.
And I wanted you to touch on the tour, the underground tour.
Oh, I wish I could a little bit more, hey, looks like I can screen share. All right, the little box popped up now. Hold on. Let me see now. All right, look at that. Seattle Underground. Let me see if I can pull this up. So what a lot of people have been talking about lately, and I've been seeing
Okay, I think we might have lost him or lost me. I'm not sure. I'm going to try and work out what's going on, everyone. I could hear him for a little while longer there. I don't know if anyone else can still hear him, but if you can hear me, I'm going to try and work out what's going on. Bear with me. Okay. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. Right now, I'm not sure. I'm still on. I know that, but I'm not sure if D Marble's still there. He's still there on my screen, but he might have lost connection. So if you just bear with me for a sec, we'll try and get D Marble back on in. In the meantime, he's going to try and go through this thing that he was telling me about, this underground tour. Which I was talking to him about because a friend of mine was going into London and having a look at the mud flood situation, and Trinity 4 was going around. I think it was Buckingham Palace that he was at in London. He was in the centre of London, and we kind of touched on it. I think it was Tommy Rogers. He was telling us about things that have been buried on, and Richard was going into the megaliths and stuff. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk to D Marble about this tour, because apparently a lot of, I think it's Seattle, has been built on top of. So I don't know if anyone in the chat room has looked into that. If you have, let me know, because I think it's quite an interesting subject to look into. Most of us that are having conversations know that we live on a flat plane of existence, but I want to slow down and look at these other things, which goes into connecting the dots. So let me know in the chat room if anyone else has been looking into it. Hello, my darling. You all right?
Hi, I'm back.
No worries. No
Again.
worries. I was just giving everyone a quick synopsis of what it is we were trying to look into and talk about with this underground tour. I feel that, you know, I'm speaking about talking about these kind of things now where they weren't a year ago. And I personally, I'm really interested in it.
Well, the thing is, it's like the city of Seattle, it seems to be built on the city of Seattle, like you know, former version of it. You know, there was pictures that I pulled up last night on the weekly wrap up with Vegan Warrior, and there was points where you would see the streets at one level, and then you would see the city of Seattle as it is now above those streets with the buildings and all that. But the street is on top of other buildings, like the second and third floor buildings is what the streets were built on top of, as if there was a, you know, not as if, but there was a city there apparently, and something happened to where this city was completely covered, and now the city of Seattle as it is now has been built on top of that. And you know, this is something a lot of people have been talking about, you know, the whole idea that there were mud floods or you know, these cataclysms that took place that have pretty much been wiped from the history books, and we're not told about any of this stuff, you know.
None of it, because until it started coming up in conversation with the people that are around me, I've not really heard much about it. I was a bit like, mud flood? What mud flood? What are you all talking about? Like, what is this? Not really slowed down enough to look at it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, and that's why what you guys are doing is important. That's why, you know, we're all playing part in this whole situation where we're trying to make people aware of what's going on in the world, because you know, it's like people are so busy in life, and they don't have the opportunity to, you know, sit down and watch videos for hours and hours or do the research. So
Right.
you know, those of us who feel so passionately about spreading the truth, it's important for us to continue doing what we're doing on behalf of those people who otherwise can't go look these things up for themselves, you know. So special thanks to you all. Love and respect to all of you guys over there doing what you're doing at
Sweetheart, thank you.
at what I like to call Flat Earth Offensive UK.
Love it. Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take ownership of that. That's cool. We'll be for Earth Offensive UK all day long.
Awesome.
You know what? We're out there on the streets weekly. We're trying to push the truth forward as much as we can over here in the UK. We've got Harry and Jason out on the tour. I'm going to be live with them a little bit later on this evening from their little tour bus. They're very much so doing van life. They're very much so doing van life. They're very much in the early stages of van life, admittedly so. They've come up with, you know, a few problems. I'm going to get into it with them this evening for a little bit if they're still awake. I don't know where they, you know, I don't know where some of us get the energy from. All I can put it down to is the fact that we've got, you know, passion for getting the truth out there. Maybe a little bit more so than the next person, but that's okay. That's okay. At least there's some of us that are prepared to, you know. Jason and Harry, you know, they've given up being at home for a couple of months, over 50 locations in 8 weeks. It's definitely a task, but by the end of it, thousands of people will have seen the van itself. It's stickered up with a load of stickers, pointing people in the direction to get on with their research. They've got the leaflets, they've got their voices, which on Jason's live feed today. We definitely saw them having a good few interactions with people that were interested, and people are a bit more interested in talking about these things.
Nice.
You said something really good before about, you know, going into, sometimes it is easier to go into other subjects to bring people to the truth that you're actually trying to show them. I think everyone would be quite surprised, you know, when they're having conversations with people, how interested people are in talking about the moon landings being faked and various other like 9/11 and stuff, you know. And with those subjects, you can kind of bring them into it and say, look, have you looked at this? You know, I've looked at this, you know, this was compared to what we're told, it's not making sense. like we said before, however you're packaging it up and giving it to someone, even if it's an indirect way that you're giving it to them, because once they start researching, it won't really take them very long before they come across the biggest lie ever told.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And I mean, you know, we don't. Here's the thing. It's like the way I look at flat Earth, and I was saying this earlier in the back chat, is that this one is really easy to explain to people. I believe it's one of the easiest to prove. You know, this is 2 + 2, honestly, because okay, look at the globe. All right, you see all the blue on here? Yeah, that's water. That's supposed to be water. You've never seen water do that whole curving thing, you know. And
look, I got it here too. I don't know if you can see this, everyone. I'm gonna hold it up nice and steady for you all so that you can all see it. Like 71% of Earth is water, and it's always going to find its own level. Yeah, 71%. Yeah. And everywhere we're looking, it's level.
Yep.
It's straight up level. It's going to be level. It's level.
Every time.
Every single time.
Every single time.
The absurdity, the biggest absurdity of the globe is believing that water conforms to a ball. That's the biggest absurdity in my mind. And that brings me to my next question. What's your 2 main go-to proofs when you're talking to people about the fact that they've been lying? What's your 2 main proofs that we're not on a ball?
Oh, well, that's obviously my main one is the water. I mean, that's the here. I bring it down to the simplest aspects of it is, you know, there's no water, or there's no curve, and there's no spin. You know, just the idea of being one on a ball of water, and that's basically what it is, a ball of water. And I know it sounds silly to the globe believers when we say it like that, but that's what you believe. You believe it's a flipping ball of water. Like, you believe that some way or another there's a ton of dirt that's stuck together, and there's water that conforms to it, like in the shape of a sphere. And you believe it's on such a large scale that you can never see any curvature. We on this side, we just look at it like, well, I mean, if I can't see curvature, must not be any. You know, it's a you know, I mean, on the simplest level. Well, I mean, okay, so how fast is the Earth spinning? Oh, 1,000 miles per hour. Okay, well, I mean, if it's 24,000 miles in diameter and in circumference or whatever, and then, you know, you spin the thing around and it's a 24-hour circuit, then, I mean, it's 1,032 miles per hour, right? So that means if you're, you know, it's spinning back this way, so, all right, you're there, the Earth is spinning this way, it's got to travel 1,000 miles per hour on the surface, period. So the idea that we wouldn't feel it is ridiculous to me. And we're supposed to be moving this fast on the surface, and yet we see the clouds just kind of drifting along all slowly and all that in the sky, and it's ridiculous. It's insulting to those of us who actually pay attention to our senses, in my opinion. It's one of those things. It's like I do not enjoy having someone insult my intelligence and telling you that you live on a ball that is spinning when there is no detectable curvature and no measurable spin. It's ridiculous. It's an insult to your intelligence for you to be taught that, and that's why we were all taught it when we were children, so we wouldn't be able to question it.
Did you have any doubts about the globe when you were asleep? Was there any? Did you ever have do you ever remember having any doubts at all?
No, not really. And I believe I was where a lot of people are still. Like, I didn't really think about it. A lot of people are just walking around not thinking about it. And this is why I can be optimistic about spreading the flat Earth, because I know that there are more people like myself who are just walking around, just living their life, you know, get up, go to work, you know, go home, get on with their obligations, their relationships and all that. You know, you want to relax, you want to have some fun, you want to entertain yourself. You're not thinking about the Earth because it's been shown to us as a given that we live on a globe. So most people aren't even thinking about it.
Mm.
So
Mm.
when one of us comes along and says, it's flat, right? And it kind of jars somebody out of their position, like, well, it's not flat, it's a globe, you know that. And then we're like, so how do you know that? Well, there are pictures. And they'll just stop it right there. Like, they won't go any further. They won't go actually Google the pictures of Earth and compare them with each other, because if anybody does this with an open mind, they're gonna figure out really quick. Well, wait a minute, why does the light seem? Why is why is North America so huge on this picture, but it's so small on this other one? That's not right.
Mm.
That's not right. So I mean,
right.
people figure these things out. It's just depends on how much one's ego is in play with this discovery, in my opinion.
Correct. What's your goal? What is your goal with all of this that you're doing? What's your ultimate goal with everything that you're doing?
My ultimate goal, my ultimate goal is for enough people to wake up to this idea and question, start to question authority, because the bottom line of this whole thing is, if the earth is flat, and it is, once people figure that out, the next question that they're going to ask is, well, wait a minute, if it is flat, and well, that means that the educational systems lied about where we are.
Right.
The movies have lied.
Right.
All these documentaries about globes have lied. These these Hollywood films showing a globe out in space and all that, that's a lie. NASA's lying. The government's lying because they're taking our tax dollars and paying it to these guys. So they're all in on it. And that's where a lot of people stop. They're like, there would have to be too many people in on it. Not if they've been prepping for 500 years with this information.
Correct.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
I get hit with that on the streets a lot. They're like, too many people would have to be involved in the lie. And it's like, no, not at all. Do you know what goes on in the finance department of the company that you work for? Nope. But
I have no idea.
So no, not a lot of people have to be involved. Just a select few, and everyone else playing their part. That movie Capricorn 1. Do you remember that movie back in the day, Capricorn 1?
I should have watched that by now, because that was one of those.
Movie. You can even watch it on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Capricorn 1. All right, I'll make that my assignment for this evening.
Yeah, please do. And anyone in the chat room, if you want to break it down to someone, how certain people just do not know what's going on, and the people that do try and inadvertently come across it, they just get moved out of the way real quick. So that's a good representation. In all of the experiments that you've done, what would you say you've learned so far?
I've learned that it's really important to do your own experiments. That's the most important thing. There's a lot of details that come along with making observations, and that's what a lot of my things are. It's just making observations, like going to Alaska and getting the 24-hour time lapses. That wasn't an experiment. What are you trying to prove? I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just going to make the observation. Obviously, the observation leads you to the conclusion that I was in one position the whole time, and I'm doing a 360, watching the sun make a circuit above my head. That's my observation. I was showing you from my position. Okay, I didn't say that I was supposed to prove anything. I didn't say that I was supposed to debunk anything. I'm just saying. It's sun's making a 360. That's all. Take it or leave it. But making observations about, I tested the moonlight multiple times last year. I'd wait for the full moon cycle each month for a little bit, and I'd grab my laser thermometer and I'd, sit some things outside, and I would just check the temperature of what's in the moonlight directly and what's, in the shade. And I mean, the temperature of what's directly in the moonlight always read colder. So just more observations. I'm just saying, I wasn't trying to test anything. I'm just saying the moon seems to put out a cold light. I'm just making an observation. That's all. And then I do the test multiple times, and every time I did it, it would show that the objects that were in direct moonlight would show colder. They had a colder reading. So just making observations. That's all. Most of the time, and people are always like, "Oh, that's been debunked." I'm like, "How are you going to debunk an observation?" That's like
it can't be done. That's why it's so important, like you said, to do it. It's so important to get out there and make your own observations. Big time.
Yeah,
Massive.
yeah, and the thing that I learned is by doing your own experiments or making your own observations, it makes you that much stronger when you talk to people because you're speaking from a position of experience rather than secondhand information, and that's what where a lot of global believers fall off because they're just talking about what some guy told them, some guy in a lab coat, some guy with a few letters after his name and all that. Well, this guy said this, and I'm like, but have you checked that? Have you checked it out? Have you tested it? Have you ran an experiment on that to see what this guy's talking about, or did you just mail it in and just say, well, he's smarter than I am, so I'm just going to believe him? And that's what a lot of them do. And it's important to run your own tests, to make your own observations, so you can, just check, just just see what's, just check it out for yourself. And it could be something as simple as, testing the moonlight, because one of those laser thermometers, you could order one of those. Like, I got mine for like $20. That's easy. Spirit level. If you're taking a flight, if you got $9, go get one of these things and just sit it on the tray table and see if the bubble moves. Simple.
It's simple. It's almost too simple. It's not difficult. It's not difficult at all. Where would you like to see things in 12 months from now?
Ooh, bigger, faster, stronger. we gotta continue to spread this out. I'd like to see, obviously, I'd like to see a lot more people figure this out. I'd like to see more activism all over the place, more people scribbling stuff on their vehicles, more people wearing T-shirts and hats and, making videos and all that stuff. We just expand. We start opening flat earth businesses, making more flat earth music, more flat earth art, more flat earth clothing, just incorporate this thing and make it normal. We need to normalize flat earth. That's the thing.
Make it socially accepted. Make it socially accepted. Socially accepted to talk about. That's something I repeat to people when I'm out on the roads constantly. The more we can get this socially accepted in public places, businesses, schools, homes, everywhere. It needs to be socially accepted to talk about in the staff room of your workplace. It needs to be socially accepted to be talked about in the playground while you're waiting for your kids to come out of the indoctrination center, so that one day they won't have to go to an indoctrination center and get brainwashed into regurgitating education that's not legit. This being taught to regurgitate information on gravity to get graded on. It can't carry on. So I think if we can get it to a place where it's socially accepted to talk about, we're going to be getting it moved on. And I think
so.
That's what we need to focus on as people. It doesn't matter where you're from, what country you're from, what age you are, what creed you're from. It doesn't matter socially what background you're from. My 15-year-old daughter's awake, my 10-year-old son's awake, my partner's awake, various other people around me awake. It doesn't really matter. It's not bias or agenda. You can be young and old and no matter what and still know the truth. I think it's visually represented by people's live feeds and the variant of people that are open to talking about this and having a free speech type of conversation about their reality. So I think it's incredibly important to do that. I want to know, what is the main force keeping you going?
It's time. It's time, and there's a there's a saying, I believe it goes that nothing can stop an idea when that time has come. For the most part, I may be paraphrasing, I might get that wrong, but this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the fork in the road where we make that paradigm shift. Right now is that time in history where people are going to figure this thing out one way or another. you know, and I believe this has happened other times in the past where there's been kind of a revolution. We flat earthers have always been around, or globalist deniers, as you like. Um,
Mm,
we've always been around, but for some reason or another, there's been a suppression of the information. But now I believe we're at a crossroads where we have enough voices, enough information, enough technology to get the word out faster than ever. So, um, the thing that keeps me going is the
mm,
optimism of how fast we can get this thing done. Me personally, I get messages, you know, I get at least one a day. Somebody saying, "Hey, keep up the good work. You know, keep doing what you're doing." I'm like, I guess I'll continue another day then.
yeah.
Because that person sent that, you know, and so I mean it gets to a point where, you know, and like I was saying earlier, like on behalf of folks who, you know, aren't at liberty to do these things, you know, just doing that for them and for future generations, because you know the idea that okay, look, to a degree it's okay if you lie to me, but
Mm,
if you lie to my kids, if you lie to my parents, if you lie to my friends, if you lie to my family, I got a problem with that.
mm,
You can lie to
mm,
me, but don't lie to them. And
mm.
then don't lie to everybody else, for God's sake. I'm like, nah, man. So, you know, we're all walking around not knowing where we are. That's a
Yeah,
problem. That's a
yeah.
problem in
That's
my
me,
estimation.
me going too. I'm right with you on that one. I didn't ask to bring my kids into a lie. I did not
Right.
ask to do that. They did not ask to be brought into a lie, and I've all brought them into this lie.
Yep.
Done it, and then woken up after I've done it, and I'm like, oh no, look what you've done. Look what you've done. I'm all gonna
Yeah.
have to stop this because I can't do this. I can't live my life and just leave them in this and
Yeah.
not try to do anything about it.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And for every day that I wake up, yeah, admittedly it is emotionally and physically draining sometimes when you're trying to do this, because you know some people with their free time, swimming, horse riding, bike riding, that's fine. For me, my spare time goes into going out onto the streets. And yeah, it
Yep.
is when you, but you know yourself, when you've spoken to 3 or 4 people just in one day, it's a lot. It's a lot
Yep.
because you're having 4 fresh conversations. You've got to start right at the beginning with each one, and you've got to go through the motions back and forth. It's like going hard with like one of the Williams sisters all
Right.
day, like 5 or 6 times a day, and at the end of the day, you still got to do everything you got to do in your life anyway. So you've either got the passion to do this, or you know you're happy to just have those human interactions with people, which is more than enough. It's more than enough just to keep having the conversation, because eventually, like you said, hopefully we'll get to a place where it's socially accepted. Then once it gets to that stage, we can look to start reforming and changing things that need to be changed. They need to
Hmm.
be changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
people need to stop taught a lie. It's got to come to an end at some point.
I'm looking forward to
So
that.
I'm wondering where I probably didn't let you prepare properly to be able to screen share. Would you come back on another occasion and kind of go deeper into some subjects that we spoke about this evening?
I could make my way back over. Sure.
Ah, thank you. And you know what? I'm a bit nocturnal, so I've been managing to catch some of your lives when you're actually live. Imagine that.
Wow.
Imagine
Yeah.
that. Not
Yeah.
a replay for me and a comment in the comment section after going, yep, great live. Sorry, I couldn't be there again. It's just the wrong
Right.
time. It's like 3, 4 in the morning, but I've been recently a little bit nocturnal. Just a little bit.
Right.
So,
I know, and I had to ask you earlier. I'm like, oh, it's like sometimes I'll go to bed. You're doing a live stream. I'm like, man, Roxanne and the crew's still up. I'm like, in the UK, it's like 4 in the morning. What are y'all doing? So I like lay down. I'll get up. I'll go to work. You know, I'll be about 2 hours into the workday, and then you guys are going live again. I'm like, does she sleep at all? Like, what the, like, what the heck? You know, you
I'll sleep
no,
when everyone's awake. I'll sleep when everyone's awake. It's cool. I can
yeah,
sleep once.
well, no. I figured you were doing that thing, polyphasic sleeping, like taking a 20-minute nap every now and then, and you know, you're like, all right, just
I'm good to
pop,
go. I'm good to
yeah, just pop back up, like, all right, I'm ready. let's do this. You know, like, geez.
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to get my sleep pattern back in order. But on the occasions that I'm up late, I'm definitely going to be tuning into your lives because they're great. They're great. I mean, packed full of information. If you want it, if you are just, you know, if you've got like spare time and you see D Marvel live, you won't come out of his hangout not knowing something you didn't know going into there. There'll always be something that you'll be like, right, okay, I need to look at that. I didn't see that. You know, it's almost like a visual version of Flat Earth News and Reports.
Right, and that's kind of, I'm not even sure, that might be something what we're trying to do. It's just, you know, like
it's like whatever's happening right now, like right now. What are they trying to say? What are they trying to say now?
yeah, and it's like something new every week, you know, and I just like figure that out. I'm like, because what I wanted to do, I was starting to do like these news reports. You remember I got a couple videos just like, and this is D Marvel FEO News, you know, like doing the news reports. I got the little banners going across and all that. So I was trying to do that, and I'm like, I can't keep up because there's so much crap going on, you know. So you know, I wanted to keep doing the news reports like that, but I'm like, there's so much stuff going on, and I'm like, okay, I gotta do a story about this. And before I get to that one, like 2 other things happen. I'm like, dude. So I end up like not doing anything. So I'm like, well, maybe I could just do a live stream on Fridays or something, just with a few of the things that I missed in the last week.
Yeah, weekly catch up.
Yeah. Just in case everybody wasn't up to speed on these things, or if something happened like.
Cool. I think it is. It's really useful to do something like that because everybody's time is so limited. Sometimes if we could all have somewhere where we could go and just hear what's going on summarize for the week, then at least we would get it all in one lump sum, if that makes sense. And that would be a real blessing for some people that don't have 5 or 6 hours to trailblaze through everything. Not to say it would take 5 or 6 hours, but you know, it's a lot of time. It's time consuming getting information from there, information from there. There's so many false news reports that go out about where we live just to reconfirm the lie every day. I get lost in. There's days that I look at it and I'm there for a couple of hours and I'm like, crap, I've spent a couple of hours just looking at rubbish, like rubbish that they're putting up. It's insane. Tons of it.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back on again. At a time that suits you, of course. I know you're a really busy person. You've got your work and you're trying to do everything else with your experiments. So any time you have that's free would be an absolute blessing for you to come and break down some of these subjects some more. I really want to know more about this underground tour. I'd love you to break it down, and I think you're going to be doing something. So with that, everyone click links in the description for D Marble's channel. Click the bell and keep up to date with what D Marble's doing because he's doing some bits. He just showed us his laser. He's out there doing experiments. He's you know, he's trying to peel back the layers of deceit, if you will, with showing, you know, various different subjects that will kind of encompass underneath the biggest lie ever told. So I would definitely date with what you're doing as well. So massive love and respect to you for kind of joining me here this evening and going through these things. I'm sorry I didn't prep you more. It would have been cool to screen share, but nevertheless, you're going to be back. So it's all good.
Well, I mean, if it's anything on my laptop that I could share, I could probably do that. I mean, I could only share like old stuff at this point because I got my phone. I could flip the camera around and I could show you my laptop, and I could play the audio from there. You know,
I'll tell you what, we'll come back fully prepared next time, and we'll give everybody the full lowdown on some of these subjects because it all goes into connecting the dots about who we are, where we are, why we're here. They've definitely lied to us about where we are. And I know they've lied about who we are. And we already know they've lied to us about why we're here. So definitely. I think the more we can break these subjects down and connect the dots, the better. So yeah, massive love and respect to everybody in the chat room. There is a ton of people in the chat room. Shout outs to everyone in the chat room. All people, free people. Samel, Cami, my darling, thank you for tuning in. I'll be speaking to you shortly, sweetheart. Richie B, John Thor, Amanda, Andres, Billy Boy, GoPro Flat Earth UK Darb, thank you for tuning in. Peter Fellows, thank you for tuning in. Francis, thank you for tuning in. Raw Poet, thank you for tuning in. Richard Lopez, thank you. Hey, thank you for having and tuning in. Hope you're all right. Christopher, Jane of Torquay, Kimmy Spreadborough, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate you all taking the time out and being here with us this evening. Your time is probably one of the only things with people that we can't get back. So I really do appreciate you just being here with us and going through these subjects with us this evening. I will be back later on with John Smith Globally and Jason of the Disbury from the camper van. And then after that, I will possibly be back live again. So 2 more lives possibly to go. So it looks like it's going to be all night for me.
And no sleep. And no sleep. There she is.
Sleep
That's what I'm talking about.
Sleep for a little bit after. All right, my darlings. Thank you for tuning in. A massive love to everyone. D Marble, is there anything you want to finish up with?
Well, just want to thank everybody for showing up, hanging out. By all means, continue to support Roxanne and the crew over here. If you can, put a little something in the pot for the crew on the road, that'd be super. I believe that there are links in the chat for that. Because they, I mean, you guys are doing some pretty important stuff over there, and John and Harry, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. What's going on, man?
Wow. Wow. I've got a question for D Marble as well. Hold on. I've got a question.
Okay. Here we go.
Why do you think other big channels are not showing support for street activism?
Why do I think other channels aren't showing support for street activism? I don't know. Maybe they're busy. Maybe it's not on the radar. I'm not making excuses for anybody. I'm just playing the advocate, I suppose. I'm just trying to look from possibly their perspective. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not really super tight with a lot of other so-called big channels at this point. I don't know. It's something that we can all get behind, obviously, because I mean it's something simple. It's not as complicated as a huge meetup or a conference or things like that. It's not so much something that like a camping trip. It's just a matter of a few people organizing, getting some banners together, saying, "Hey, we're going to meet at this place at this time. We're just going to go ask some questions, print out these leaflets, hand these out." I'm not sure why the support's lacking, honestly.
Maybe we have more conversations like this, and we make, we're having like I said, like international hangouts like this where we're communicating. Like I do this as well with CC as well. I've done hangouts with CC in the past and a few other American people. So I think it's good when we kind of join forces and we're all having a conversation from the platform that we've been lied to. So I think, like you said, maybe it's not come up on people's radars, but I think the more that we have these conversations, the more it should come up on people's radars. And I think it would help massively the more people that kind of shout out from the rooftops that activism's going on, because it's just straight up red pilling on the streets. Even Richie Lopez went out to New York with a few people as well and dropped some red pills in Times Square. And I'd love to hear more big channels shouting about the fact that that's happened, because I feel that that's big. Like for me, New York Times Square, that's like as big as going into London is me. I feel that it's a big city. There's thousands of eyes to look at. Marilyn's Spirit Level T, she was there with them DC, and she had banners there and everything. Like they dropped a ton of red pills that day. And I would love to see some of the bigger channels talking about that as well. There's a Realm Walker, Authentic Intent. There's a lot of other people as well as the UK guys that are out there just dropping red pills almost daily. Almost. But you're doing it consistently in the van. Everyone that goes past the van is seeing it in the van as well. And I think the more that channels can shout that from the rooftops, the more it will encourage more people to get out there and do a little bit more.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. To the one asking that question, have a little patience. Have a little patience, because the people running the channels, that, like I said, it might not be on their radar. It might be that they're working on some other stuff behind the scenes that you don't know about. They might be working on their own stuff. As far as I can tell, I think ODD's working on some music, so we haven't heard anything from him in a while. I'm kind of anxious for the next ODD video, but I'm not like ODD's slacking. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm like, the man's probably got stuff going on. He's got a family. He's got a huge channel, and he's got stuff going on. So we all have our different projects that we're working on. Try to keep in mind that we're all regular people doing regular people stuff. Okay.
Correct. Myself included, big time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people are like, hey, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk? Hey, you need to do this. You need to do that. I'm like, dude, you know, I still work a full-time job, right? So, I mean, I'm not like living on YouTube. I'm not living on Facebook and Instagram. I like fit this in the cracks of time when I'm not. Okay, so I still got my job. I still got the regular stuff I gotta do. I still gotta clean up the van. I still gotta, you know, I still gotta look. I gotta go to the laundromat, take the clothes out, throw them in the wash, come back in here, type some messages, go grab them, throw them in the dryer, come back out here, do some more stuff, fold the clothes, bring them back in here, put them up, organize. You know, come on. We all got normal stuff to do like anybody else. So just try to cut these folks some slack, man. You know, give it a little bit of time. Things aren't always going to be, you know, moving at the pace that you want them. You know, every time, but just relax for a little bit. And you know, look at, try to have some empathy. Try to have some empathy. That's one of the things that I believe we miss in the movement, in the community, is, you know, we look at, here I'm gonna say, I get looked at.
I like the choice of word empathy, though. That's a good choice of word, empathy and humility.
Yeah, you know, we gotta put ourselves in the position of, you know, the people that were watching. You know, people are coming to me like, well, I've had people get mad at me because I didn't call them or that I didn't answer their question. And, you know, these trolls, they'll make these comments like, oh yeah, I figured you'd just stop responding. That's typical. I'm like, I didn't do this because I'm afraid to debate you. I have other stuff going on in my life, troll boy. So I don't have time for it. You know, oh, you just dropped a meme. I'm like, yeah, I left you a meme because if you can't understand pictures and words that correspond together, if you can't pick this up within seconds, I'm not really going to waste a lot of time with you. All right. So I mean, that's just where I'm at with it. I don't have time to go back and forth with some random dude for hours on end for a couple of days. I don't have time for that crap. You know, so you know, it's like we got other stuff going on, man. We got stuff going on. You know, don't get mad at people for not getting back to you, you know, or not doing what you want them to do.
Yeah. So I think if we can all just take a chill and let people come to it in their own time, and if it is off their radar, so be it. But I think we shouldn't ever really assume people guilty before proved innocent. Do you know what I mean? And what's going on in people's private lives, and what kind of stuff they've already got on their radar in the first place. I, for one, I'm just going to put my hands up. If people have emailed me, I'm just going to give a public apology right now. I don't even want to go into the amount of emails I've got. I'm just being real here, because there is going to be people out there that just haven't had a response from me. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Because every day I go into my emails, it's not even spam. That's what's scary.
Right.
It's like a lot of emails. It's a lot of emails that need to be gone through. And I don't get the opportunity to go through them all. And that's just emails. I'm just starting on the emails. Don't get me started on the notifications on all the other platforms as well. The Instagrams, the Facebooks, the Twitters. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah. And for that, I'm apologizing, because I should have possibly thought that through a little bit more before underestimating the amount of people that might reach out. I just thought maximum maybe 5 or 10 people might reach out over the space of a year. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
oh no.
Zero apologies. I do intend to manage my time and reprioritize my slots of time in the day, because I do genuinely want to get through each of the emails and get back to people. And if that is just happening for little old me, I wouldn't even want to imagine what it's like for the bigger channels. And like, it's not like it's a bad thing to prioritize, but like I've got things that I constantly think, okay, I want to mention that. Like I want to mention the Global Eye Tour. When Tom and Victoria's camp was on, I wanted to mention the fact that the camp was there, and I wanted to go down and do activism with them and make sure that you know, everything went smoothly with that. So sometimes when we've already got a lot of things on our plate, it's difficult to go beyond what's on your plate while you're already dealing with everything that's on the plate. And I suppose that's a lot to be said for the people that we are with, you know, where for all intents and purposes, we're just carrying the baton of truth, possibly not fully aware of everything that comes with that, but we're learning as we go. I am for one, for every foot that I put forward, I'm trying to learn how to do things better than I'm doing them already, and trying to, you know, streamline what I'm doing a little bit more, so that I can manage my time a little bit better to respond to people and to communicate with people consistently and correctly. So and that's not a defense of anyone. That's just me apologizing for people that are sitting there possibly watching going, but wow, she didn't even get back to me though. She didn't even get back. So yeah, I'm sorry.
It's like that sometimes. It's like that a lot of the times. And I can't tell you it's gonna get easier. I cannot tell you that. I won't be able to deceive you in that manner. I'm gonna tell you it's gonna get busier. There's gonna be more people reaching out to you as the channel grows, and you guys are blowing up. The popularity is definitely spreading because of, you know, your consistency, and you know, it's appreciated in the community. But yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people getting in touch with you, and across multiple platforms. I would advise. I'll advise, but I'm not quite living by it. In order to streamline, I'd say try to get it down to like 2 or 3 different places where people can reach you, or where they can expect you to get back to them.
Because Twitter's too much. It's too much. I'm having to back away from Twitter, and I'm kind of more home to Instagram because it's an easier platform to use. But even so, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hopefully getting better all the time. And once again, I want to thank the chat room, everybody that's tuned in, everybody that's participated with each other in the chat room. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to all the mods that have been there this evening as well. I greatly appreciate your time and that you've taken out to regulate the chat room. And to you, D Marble, thank you for joining me and taking the time out to be with me here this evening. And I'm looking forward to the next time you come back on. And in the meantime, I'm going to keep up with your lives and everything you're doing. And for the chat room, if you heard the track at the beginning of the Hangout, that was D Marble's track. You can get that. Just click the link in the description. And all of the platforms that I put there for D Marble are there, his website, his Facebook, and his YouTube. So you can click that and get through to him on those platforms. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to Connecting the Dots this evening with me and D Marble. Hashtag FE Offensive. Much love and respect to you all. And we'll be back again soon. Take care.